running. So start over and let it run.
Okay. Start now.
All right, you're live.
Super. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another episode of Abroad and Informed.
Yes, Abroad and Informed is our bi-weekly show for Americans around the world who want connection, clarity, and a global perspective on the issues shaping our lives. Each week, we'll have bring news, conversations, and voting guidance to help you stay grounded in what matters. Stay informed, get engaged, make your vote, make your voice count. So, what's on our agenda for today, Aaron?
Today, we've got an exciting agenda. Angela, I know you're going to cover a few select news items that our listeners might be interested in. We're going to talk about the recently Democrats Abroad Global Annual General Meeting, which recently took place in Nairobi, Kenya, and we're very excited to welcome some of the hosts of that event with us today. We're going to be rebutting and debunking some of the crazy election conspiracies and lies that Trump is pushing around the California vote count, and we're going to be introducing the exciting Democratic senatorial and gubernatorial candidates in Iowa, as well as talking about a whole bunch of the different Pride events and other exciting events that Democrats Abroad are hosting around the world this month.
Awesome. That is awesome. But first, let's get to the news. We have some really good news for everyone. The Save America Act, also known as the SAVE Act, did not pass the Senate. Four Republicans joined Democrats to block the passage of the Save America Act, and the vote was 48 to 50. So, wow. That's really awesome. Now everybody can just go out and request your absentee ballots and feel comfortable that your vote will be counted.
And if you're an
Next,
American abroad, make sure you request your overseas absentee ballot by registering so at votefromabroad.org. That's
that's
different than
right.
the in-state absentee ballot process that people can use if they're in-state absentee.
That's right. Go to votefromabroad.org. And if you need help or have questions, there are people there to help you and with any problems that you might have. So, I just also want to say congratulations to the New York Knicks on their third win. They are leading the Spurs 3-1 in the NBA Finals. And however, when Trump was at the third game, he reiterated that he does not care about the affordability for regular people. He was asked about the cost of the Knicks tickets, and here's what he had to say.
Everyday Americans can't afford these sports.
Well, I know, but they can watch it on television. It's sort of semi-free to watch it on television, but that's the way life goes. You know, you have some, and now if the game wasn't if the team wasn't a big success, you could go very easily. So, you know, you can do that too, but that's the way life is. You know, they've had great success. And don't forget, they've suffered also losses, and they've suffered during the bad time. Now they have a good time. They have a team that's amazing. I don't think they've lost a playoff game.
Cheapest price
watch it on television. It's sort of semi-free to watch it on television, but that's the way life goes. You know, you have some, and now if the team wasn't a big success, you could go very easily. So you know, you can do that too. But that's the way life is. You know, they've had great success, and don't forget they've suffered also losses, and they've suffered during the bad time. Now they have a good time. They have a team that's amazing.
Okay.
I don't think they've lost a play.
Wow.
Oops, sorry.
He doesn't care about anyone but himself. So he even because of his presence, they were no longer able to watch the games outside for free. Our president doesn't care about us. Go to votefromabroad.org and let's take care of him. On the same
Angela, if I could just interject, all I got to say is my mayor's Muslim, my bagels are Jewish.
Oh, I saw that too. That was awesome.
Nixon 5.
That's right. That's right. It was awesome. One other great piece of or interesting piece of news is the New York Times, Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swift published an exclusive report of what happened in the White House Situation Room as President Trump's advisors tried to contain the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. This is going to be very important in the future, and many people in our Congress are going to take up this issue. Judith, could you play that clip, please?
Yep.
Closed doors as the Epstein files controversy kind of spiraled out of control inside Trump's White House. So the first crazy thing that jumped out to me was that Trump's top White House officials went into the Situation Room to discuss Epstein-Trump PR strategy. And remember, the Situation Room is not really for that. It's a secure bunker in the West Wing of the White House where Obama watched the raid against Osama bin Laden, where Lyndon B. Johnson launched the Tet Offensive during the Vietnam War. Like, this is a serious war room. But in this case, it's how do we contain the story about Trump and Epstein abusing young girls and effectively hide this from the American public. The second part of this reporting that I want to flag is that JD Vance, just imagine he was sitting at the head of the Situation Room, kind of leading this entire conversation. He was extremely worried about this entire situation and was actually trying to convince everyone in the Trump administration to release all of the files. Reportedly, the vice president seemed very panicked during the meeting, and people close to him actually said that he seemed to have bought in to the darkest conspiracies about Trump and Epstein. He actually seemed to believe them. And all of this talking about Vance brings me to my third disturbing detail, which honestly might be the most insane one of all. I couldn't even believe that this was true. He suggests that Tucker Carlson should interview Ghislaine Maxwell, but only if Maxwell was willing to say that Trump wasn't a part of any wrongdoing related to Epstein. And this really just shows, I mean, this is so insane that this is what they're talking about, but this really shows the tactics and strategy that this team of top government officials came up with. Let's basically create fake media that they are supposedly, so opposed to protect Trump and convince the public that he's innocent. Instead of being transparent and honest, let's sit in the Situation Room and brainstorm stunts.
Let's brainstorm some stunts. And speaking of a brainstorm, which Trump is not having, Representative Sidney Kamlager Dove from California 37 took to the floor of the House to raise concerns about President Donald Trump's health, calling his reported sleeping habits a potential national security issue. Let's hear what she had to say, because she burned it down.
Speaker, I rise today to sound the alarm about a grave national security threat, Donald Trump's sleeping habits. I know we have rules about decorum, so I will stick to the facts, because this is, in fact, a serious matter of oversight, transparency, and national security. In meeting after meeting, Donald Trump has fallen asleep. In public, on camera, in broad daylight, when people lavish praise on him. We cannot trust the White House on matters concerning the president's health because they are denying what Americans are seeing with our own two eyes. Just last week, Marco Rubio seemingly lied to Congress about this when he told my colleague that he had never been at a meeting where Trump fell asleep, despite being shown a video where the president dozed off right next to him. We cannot have a president asleep on the job. Is he sleeping in classified briefings, on calls with foreign leaders? How can we trust a president who is literally asleep at the wheel to make informed decisions about national security? An April YouGov poll found that 48% of Americans believe that Trump is also suffering modest to significant cognitive decline. He is increasingly making erratic decisions and raised questions about his mental fitness for office. He is posting AI on Truth Social at ungodly hours of the night. He is hyperfixated on his billion-dollar ballroom and a $1.8 billion slush fund for political allies instead of ending his war of choice on Iran and lowering costs for Americans. Sadly, the White House has repeatedly failed to be transparent with the American people about the president's health. Trump consistently has bruises on his hands that the White House claims are from handshakes. He received an MRI without knowing what body part was scanned or disclosing why he received it. The White House failed to put a mysterious dentist appointment on the presidential calendar, as is normal for medical appointments. Dr. Oz said the president is taking cognitive tests every day because he likes the results. And the White House removed a hair loss prevention drug from the public list of drugs he is taking, saying they are not obligated to disclose what medications the president is on. Is Trump suddenly naturally growing his hair, or is the White House hiding something? We need real transparency. It is time for Republicans to wake up and join Democrats in demanding transparency from this White House about the president's health. It is a matter of national security. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
Yeah, it is a matter of national security that we have a president that is, well, we know he was adjudicated a rapist and he is alleged to be a pedophile, and now he can't stay awake during any important meetings. This is a real reason for people to vote, don't you think, Aaron?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's many reasons to vote. I mean, obviously, the whole issue of is he paying attention away, staying awake in meetings? Does he care? Isn't a significant thing. Obviously, he's celebrating his 80th birthday this coming Sunday, which more on that later, right? With the many other ways that you can choose to celebrate that auspicious day. But look, I mean, even when he's awake, he doesn't seem to care at all about how working people are doing or how Americans are doing, right? He says, "I love inflation." He starts a war of choice just so that he can, on his whatever. He starts a war of choice that's causing massive skyrocketing prices, not to mention the direct and indirect costs it's had, including fatalities and injuries and others. He doesn't seem to care about the plight of people anyway, right? He is cutting healthcare, he is cutting food assistance, nutrition assistance, all the things that actually normal people rely on, just so that he can reward his billionaire wealthy donors, friends, and political supporters. So there is a lot of reasons to vote this coming cycle. So make sure Americans abroad. There are so many elections coming up right now, and we're talking about a few of them on each episode of Abroad Informed. So yes, make sure you are registered to vote. Primaries are taking place right now. General election candidates are starting to emerge, and then obviously in the fall we have a whole slate of general election races that we need to fight for. We need to mobilize for in order to retake the Senate, the House, and governorships all around the country to finally bring some accountability and oversight and stop the worst abuses of what's going on right now. Yeah. Okay, now can we move to some more positive topics?
Yeah, well, I thought that was positive because people are always saying that Democrats aren't doing anything, and they are fighting. And that's why we have to support them so that we can continue the fight and try to save our democracy. Let's go on to the fun part.
Absolutely. All right, great. Thank you for that news roundup. And we are so excited to welcome now two members of Democrats Abroad Kenya. So recently, as I said, we hosted our annual general meeting, and it was down in Kenya. That is the moment when leaders across Democrats Abroad from all over the world converge on a single place to meet together in person or hybrid to plan, talk about governance of the organization, to plan our GOTV and mobilization strategies, to learn from each other, share practices, get to know each other as people, not just as avatars on a screen from somewhere else around the world. And it's a really, really exciting, high energy event. And so before we go to our speakers, let's share the video that they created to welcome everybody to Nairobi.
I'm not hearing any sound. Oh, here we go.
Western Kenya with the rolling hills of Kitale. Karibuni.
Hi everyone, my name is Libby Jameson and I'm the lead of Democrats Abroad Morocco, and it's my honor to say Marhaba to Africa.
Mawachung, Ojimra, Indo. Hi, my name is David. Dumela o tswa Afrika Borwa ke nna Jason Tsabokonele logo wa DASA Expo.
Welcome to the 2026 Democrats Abroad AGM from Democrats Abroad Kenya
and the Democrats Abroad All Africa Committee.
Santonani is O'Leary, Chair of Democrats Abroad South Africa. Jabula Uniboan.
This is Democrats Abroad Africa. Welcome to the continent of Africa, where the world's largest young population lives, and where we are excited to see the next generation of American leadership abroad.
All our activities were annual generals. Come explore the beauty and diversity of Kenya, this rich culture, heritage, splendid sights.
Karibuni sana na tumefurahia sana kuwaona hapa.
Super, thank you.
Which means, welcome to you all very much, and we're very happy to see you here.
Oh,
Great. That was so
awesome.
fun.
Yeah.
All right. So Brendan, Esther, please introduce yourselves to everybody and let us feel the excitement. Tell us how it was on the ground.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Brendan Saypas. I'm the chair of Democrats Abroad Kenya. Is my audio still bad?
Okay.
Okay, good. And I'll let Esther introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Esther Bauman. I'm the vice chair of the Democrats Abroad Kenya chapter.
Great. Yeah, thanks for coming. Tell us about the AGM. How was it to host all of these people from all over the world in your home city?
I mean, it was great. I think, well, obviously this was the first time that we've ever met on the African continent, which was a big deal. And I think even more than that, we're just, I mean, grateful to the Global Executive Committee for entrusting us with such an important event. And of course, also, I would be remiss if I didn't say that my predecessor, Robin Emerson, who was the one who kind of built the architecture of DACA before I came along, was the one who, you know, essentially pulled the trigger on nominating us to host. So, I mean, it was amazing. I think that you get to meet people that you've kind of seen as squares on Zoom meetings, for years, and then all of a sudden they're there in the room with you, and then on top of that, they're there in the room with you in your home city. And so I think we really went out of our way to try to create an experience that was, of course, had all of the pieces that the DPCA meeting has to have, but also was personalized to Nairobi. Esther, do you want to talk a little bit about, obviously it wasn't just the two of us, so Esther played a huge part in helping the rest of the team get involved.
Yeah, we had about 10 volunteers from our chapter that came out and witnessed. A lot of them had never been part of like an AGM, like a global one. So I think that was really great for people to see kind of how that process works. Also, it was amazing for a lot of the global team to see people from our committee there and volunteering and like helping them with whatever they need, like, oh, where is this? How do I do this? I think that really made like a connection, like the human connection that you really miss over Zoom meetings. And I think a lot of what people really loved about kind of the AGM here was like the pre and post events. So we had organized a lot of like excursions and coordinated that so that they could go on like safari or they could learn about history and see kind of like beyond the hotel, because we were just in a hotel for the event. And I think that's like a really important key piece. Yeah, so I think our team did amazing, but also I think the global team also was like really excited and wanting to meet and learn. And so I think that like kind of like two groups of people trying to like meet in the same space. So I think that was really great to see and be a part of and energized me for sure.
Was there any particular highlight to share?
I think that one of the highlights, at least for me, was the Friday welcome reception. So, we as DACA hosted everyone on Friday evening to just kind of say welcome and set the stage. And Yeah, I mean, we had some great speakers. We had the one of the staff members of the National Gay and Lesbian Human Rights Coalition. And we also had Martha Karua, who's like a perennial opposition figure in Kenyan politics. And so having both of them there to kind of situate what we were doing in the kind of wider scope of democracy and democratic work in the space was really cool. And of course, on Saturday, we also had our guest of honor, who was Malcolm Kenyatta, the vice chair of the DNC, who gave us a very rousing speech. And I think that was also an opportunity to really get pumped up. I know, Aaron, I sent you like the 35-minute, I think, version of that. I'm sure we'll want to trim it down a little bit, but I'm excited to also share some of his words of inspiration with the broader DA community.
Oh,
Do you think they
that would
felt
be
it?
awesome.
Oh, sorry, Angela. Before.
No, I was going to say that would be awesome if we could maybe send us a clip and maybe we can share it with people in another
He
episode.
took us to church, Angela, so I had a great time.
That's awesome. Do you think they felt special, like the invited guests from the States, from the Democratic Party, special to be there in Nairobi with you and with us?
Yeah, I think it was really great, of course, for them to be in Nairobi specifically, but I think it was also really great for them to be a part of some of the sessions that we had as part of the AGM. So like for instance, having Jane Pleb there when we're talking about the fact that, DA essentially is the blue county, in every state. And then, with her and her position as ASDC president, like that feels like a really meaningful kind of connection point. So I think that, it was a really great collaboration between us, as the host committee and then the global team in terms of who they put in which rooms when and what we talked about. So it was just a really nice kind of point of convergence of all these different pieces that sometimes, work a little bit separately, but really had a chance to come together and collaborate.
That's great. Did you feel like there were any particular outcomes from the meeting that were really notable and worth sharing?
Um, I mean, I mean, of course, we always spend a lot of time on resolutions. I know we said we weren't going to get too deep into like the
We
business.
don't talk about
What
process.
we
Yeah.
talked about. Yeah, but no, I think that just the fact that we were able to have the meeting on the continent, and then of course, I think what was really cool was having actual physical representatives from a number of non-country committees that are within the DA All Africa Committee, which again, Robin, is the one who really put a lot of work into like putting the architecture in place for the All Africa Committee. And her and Bahara have really supported some of these NCCs in these early stages of getting ready to become country committees. So, I mean, the
So
idea
for
that
pe
we,
yeah.
no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so for people who are not, let's say, super familiar with the
Oh,
structure of Democrats
that
abroad,
kind
right? There's Americans abroad living all over the world. There are millions of us. Some of us live in countries where there's a more formalized Democrats abroad chapter structure, and some of us don't live in countries where there isn't a more formalized chapter structure or not enough people to make a full chapter. But nonetheless, we can be active members of Democrats abroad, and those are those non-country committees that you referred to. So we can still be fully engaged. In fact, I live in a non-country committee country and am very active. But yeah, and so this is a structure, a way for us to participate in the governance of the organization regionally and at large, even if we don't live in a country where there's a, let's say, formal chapter structure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So wherever you are, watchers, listeners, viewers, wherever you are in the world, there's a way for you to get involved with Democrats abroad, for you to join in the fight that we're fighting in for freedom, right? For progress, for Democrats to be elected to offices all up and down the ballot, and yeah, wherever you live in the world.
Yeah, and actually some of these non-country committees, it's not that they don't have enough people, it's that no one has organized a country committee.
Point.
So you might live in a country with lots of Americans, but you don't have a Democrats Abroad chapter there. So just get in touch and then somebody can help you for
It's a
sure.
great way to get to meet other Americans in the country or community in which you live. Maybe you didn't know about them.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. So, okay, so Brendan, I mean, in the video, you were saying that, Africa is the largest youth population in the world, and that it was also the first time that a big global meeting had taken place on the continent. Those both feel like milestones and really significant points, especially in the world today. Can you elaborate a little more?
Yeah, I agree. And well, I think too that I think building off of Angela's point, I mean, Esther and I both have been in leadership roles in DA for at this point only 1 year. And we already have now hosted the global AGM. So I think there's a lot of space
Wow.
in Democrats for people to step into the space and take up roles and lead. And I think, if we want to fight to take our country back, like you just got to show up and do the thing. So I think that it's pretty exciting that we were able to kind of jump in the deep end, literally, and swim and, accomplish something like this. So I think that I think that it just feels like a really powerful opportunity for us to kind of recenter like the work that we're doing in the space. And I think that, you know, there's a great opportunity there for us to just kind of really say that we as Democrats living overseas take, the future of what is happening on the African continent seriously, and we want to be a part of that conversation. So that's why it felt powerful to me.
That's awesome. Esther, any final word?
No, I think I would, yeah, kind of mirror what Brennan has said, but I also noticed a lot of the representatives from the continent of Africa were younger too. So not only are like the population of countries in Africa young, but also the Democrats abroad, like members or people that are involved are a bit younger too. So I think it's helpful to see that reflected, because I think sometimes when you're dealing with like global, it is a bit like people are and it's a different demographic, I think.
No, we're starting to lose you, Esther. Sorry.
Yeah, but it was the AGM from the perspective of a person who was there online went super well. It looked like, from everything that I've heard and all the pictures I've seen from everybody who was there, it looked like it was a really super time. And yeah, I'm actually kind of sorry I missed it, but couldn't be avoided.
Fortunately, we have this recap.
That's right. That's
Brendan, can
right.
you all mention the other countries that are in the Democrats Abroad Africa Committee, please, in case people are watching and maybe want to learn about how where they, if they live in one of those countries, they can easily get involved?
Yeah, so the other country that is currently organized into a country committee is South Africa. So Kenya and South Africa are the two that have country committees currently. And then we have NCCs, or, country committees in formation, because they're definitely on the path in Morocco and Ghana. And so both of those were well represented with actual physical representation at that meeting, which was really cool because I mean, we also have virtual meetings fairly frequently, but we're never in a room together. So the fact that we got to all be in a room together and be on the continent together was pretty exciting.
That is awesome. That is really great. So great job. By all accounts, it went wonderfully, both in person and online. And so thank you all and your teams and everyone involved for all the hard work you put into. I know it's a long process to build up to it. I've hosted big events myself in other capacities. I know what it's like. And there were other factors involved too, right? And then an Ebola scare at the very end there, and wasn't going to be easy. So thank you all for what you're doing and for your teams, for all the volunteers working hard. And thanks for coming on the show to share some of that with us.
Thanks for having us.
Bye. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and if you live in Africa and you would like to get involved, you can just contact us at democratsabroad.org. Check out our website and find the Africa section and join up, or get in touch with somebody who will contact you with connect you with other people. Super.
Exactly. And so one of the main things that we do at Democrats Abroad is getting out the vote among the millions of Americans who live abroad. There is a lot of elections taking place in the year 2026, up and down the ballot in every single state in the Union. Americans abroad vote in all 50 states and the territories. And one of the biggest delegations of Americans abroad come from the great state of California, where we'd like to now turn our attention to. It's been in the news lately for a number of different reasons.
There are a number of reasons,
It's a big
all
state.
of which, most of which have been good. So welcome, Ada Shin. California voter living in France.
And Deputy Director of Global Get Out the Vote for Democrats Abroad, right?
Yep. No, it's the sun never sets on Democrats abroad, and we go to bat for every election in every state up and down the ballot. And yeah, California is definitely a big one. So as you know, last time we were here talking about the California governor's race and the fact that the primary ballot, it looked like there was this chance that maybe we would end up having two Republicans on the general election ballot in the fall. That has not happened. So voters have showed up in very large numbers, and we do have a Democrat, Javier Becerra, who's facing off against GOP MAGA candidate Steve Hilton. Frankly, the numbers are not really there for Steve Hilton, but we take nothing for granted, right? So definitely make sure you're registered and ready to vote. Like, we got to show up for this one too. But what we are now seeing is we're seeing a lot of very predictable, this train is never late, garbage attacks on election integrity coming from our president,
our cheater and our cheater in chief,
the liar in chief. Okay,
liar in chief.
So, like, Donald Trump did not win in 2024. Lies won in 2024, and he continues to generate lies. And he's lying even as I sit here about the integrity of the elections in California. What is he saying? He's saying, oh, how come the election results are changing from election day? And as they're counting, something is happening. Even Mike Johnson is being a moron, saying, well, obviously something's happening. We have no evidence, but clearly something is afoot. So I'm here today to explain how elections work, which is they're not centrally run by the federal government. They're not even centrally run by the state of California. In California, it is run by the counties. There are 58 counties. So and every county, you've got election workers, you've got observers, you've got people canvassing, you've got people, doing all these different kinds of things to run and administer an election with integrity. Okay, so what they're describing is simply something that cannot happen. There would be evidence of it somewhere. And of course, there's no evidence. And because this is Trump, the fact of there being no evidence just means he just keeps talking. But people need to understand, do not lose faith in elections. Orange County alone, Orange County registrars, a registrar of voters, they do 125 election security steps every election cycle, and they talk about it, right? They're being very transparent, and that's the key. Pay attention to how elections are actually run, and you will discover that all that's happening it's a lot of voters. It's 22 million voters in California. That is more voters than most states even have as residents. Just Los Angeles County alone is more voters than half the states. So yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time, and that is all that's happening is California takes the time to get the count right. That's it.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
I don't know what else to say. Do you have any questions? Because working the way it's supposed to. That's all that's happening.
It is working the way it's supposed to, right? And it seems like enfranchisement takes time. Accuracy takes time. And ensuring that, one person, one vote is actually the way it's going down takes some time and takes some human resources to accomplish that. So it feels like on one hand, they're demanding election integrity. Obviously, I use my, air quotes. At the same time, they're then criticizing all of the things that are going into making an election safe and secure. So how do we reconcile these things as normal people?
So actually, the thing to understand about Trump is the thing that he's talking about is not the thing that he's talking about, right? So you look at the way California conducts elections, it's fine. It's largely fine. They will start counting those ballots the second they get them back now. They will, they have lots of election observers as they go through the process. They're very, very careful. They do hand audits where they will actually ascertain, just to double check the machine count, they will actually do a randomized selection of hand audits, right? To make sure that those results come in. I mean, they do a lot to make sure that the vote is, full of integrity. Trump doesn't care. This is not actually about election integrity. This is about He's going to say the winner is whoever he says it is. He's not going to accept the actual winner of some of these elections. He knows that control of the House often runs through California. It also runs through New York, Arizona, a handful of states. It's going to be really consequential. I mean, every race is consequential, but we know there are certain states where if he wants to try and attack the legitimacy of those results, he thinks he can, he gets to pick the winners. So the key here is do not let him psych you out. Elections continue to function. It is not up to the president how those elections function. That is in the Constitution, right?
Article 1, Section 4.
Article 1.
Yep.
Read it, And so right now, that's what we have is we have a functioning democracy at this level where the states are continuing to operate. But guys, this election, once again, it's existential because the lies are toxic. The lies are actually undermining confidence in elections themselves, right? And, the truth is that it's going to take all of us to show up and vote, all right? And if you are a Democrat abroad and you want to do something about it, you can get active, you can volunteer. We have a lot of people who are doing training to help other voters at votefromabroad.org. If you need help, absolutely go to votefromabroad.org. We have a bunch of crazy maniacs who devote a lot of their time understanding all the voting rules for every state. It's, the voter assistance guide of the federal voter assistance program is like 400 pages, right? And we know this stuff back to front. So if you need help, come to votefromabroad.org, get involved, join, volunteer.
So I think one thing that gets, yes to all that. I think one thing that gets conflated a lot in these discussions is the difference between, people voting in person and then votes that are received by mail. So are these accusations in California about one or the other?
No. Okay. So people need to understand that California is very committed and very serious in enfranchising every voter who wishes to vote. They make it very easy to vote. That means every single California voter will receive a ballot by mail. Okay. As long as you don't opt out of it, you're going to receive that ballot by mail. Now, if you're an overseas voter in California and you used the federal postcard application or went to vote from abroad to fill out your voter application, then you actually get a protected kind of you're in a protected category called UOCAVA. You can actually receive your ballot by email and then you can return it by fax. But even if you receive your ballot by email and return it by fax, unless you opt out, they will also mail you a ballot. Now, to some people, they go, oh my God, all these crazy ballots, all these blank ballots out in the universe. Surely people are voting them fraudulently and those are being counted. No, that is not happening. Even if you go to the polls and also submit your absentee ballot, which you should not do, you swear not to do that when you submit it. But even if you do it, they will catch it because each ballot is unique to that voter, right? And it's only valid once it is voted, including with all of your voter information, including with, your signature. They do signature matching in California, right? And if for some reason your signature doesn't match, they will get in touch with you. You have the chance to cure that defect in your ballot, but that takes time. Okay. So they're very, very careful. And even if you try to vote twice, I mean, the irony is that when we have discovered instances of people committing,
it's always Republicans.
It's always Republicans thinking that the election isn't secure and they can just vote as many times as they want. And guess what, guys? It ain't true, right? Because that ballot is only going to count once, right? No matter what. So it's a great system. Actually, I'm very proud to be a voter in the great state of California. I think we do a lot of things right. Right now, our biggest problem is people talking trash who happen to also be president. So it's a little difficult to make them stop. But that is not, we stop him politically, right? That's how that stops, is we replace the people who are, if you don't like what's happening in America, you have a mechanism. That mechanism is our democracy. It's a chance. It's not a guarantee. We don't get ponies. We get a chance. All right. So voting is really important. Voting is actually the solution to this problem.
Yeah. So
Yes.
just I'm hearing two things on the specific
Yes.
question that I asked, which is that on one hand, there is vote by mail, which in the case of
Correct.
Californians, every eligible voter receives a ballot that they can send in via mail, whether they're in state or abroad, but they can also choose to go to the polls if they want and vote in
Right.
person. That's an option. And so you have both the ways in which those mailed in ballots are verified, checked, and inspected, right? Unique unique ID code, signature confirmation, and then also making sure that that person only voted one time in the election. And then separately from that, you also have the ways of counting the ballots that were cast in person, which just due to the sheer numbers of eligible voters in California takes time.
It
So
takes
when you add those two different processes together, it just takes a lot of time when a lot of people vote. And that is one of the main reasons why vote counting is continuing past election day. We're not relying on exit polls from a, statistical sample of voters from a news outlet.
Right.
We're actually waiting for the process to continue to actually count the actual eligible ballots cast.
But let me also clarify something. The fact that actually counting the results takes time is true of every state.
Yes.
Okay, so in every state, you will see on election day, decision desk, they will try to call the results of an election once they think it's statistically clear who that winner is. Sometimes they are wrong. Okay, so it is not a reasonable thing to say that because people whose job it is not to actually certify the vote have messed up the call, that somehow the problem is in the tabulation or problem is in the people who are actually counting. No, it always takes time. The vote is not actually certified for weeks and sometimes months, right? It takes time to be that accurate. Usually you're going to have a result before then, so people will concede an election, or they'll have enough pressure to be like, okay, yes, I lost, and they'll concede, because a democracy requires people who are grown-ups to acknowledge reality and to be able to move on from that reality, right? We do not have that in the president currently, so we're not going to get that this time or ever, right? So we got to just, live with that. But understand the problem is not California. California is not taking too long. California is not exceptionally taking time. California is doing what every state does, which is take the time necessary to ensure an accurate result. And it's just the fact that in the case of California, it's a very large state. And also it's a very blue state. And, Trump does like to attack the blue states. So there's a lot of knee-jerk stuff in the air at the moment. But fundamentally, that is all that is happening, is they are taking the time necessary to ensure an accurate result.
Thank you, Ada. On that perfect note, thank you for all the information. Thank you for the work you're doing to get out the vote. And remember, everyone, go to votefromabroad.org to answer any questions about your particular situation and whatever you need to do to vote back in the particular state in which you are voting. Keep it up,
Great.
Ada. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys. Bye,
Ada.
Angela. Bye, Aaron.
All
Ciao.
right. Angela, now leaving California to get back into the international environment. Please, I
That's
know there's so
right.
many events coming up. Over to you.
Well, I just want to say to everybody, happy Pride Month, because that's what June is. And we have a lot of Pride events going on all throughout the world, in Europe, in the Americas, all over the place. Be sure to go to Vote From Abroad. I'm sorry, go to democratsabroad.org/events to check out our events. But we do have some Freedom Weeks events that are coming up rather quickly. We have actually this weekend, we have our Juneteenth event. It's a film screening about Juneteenth. It's on the 14th of June. And then after that, we have a great event with Senator Tammy Baldwin, Leading with Pride, and that is on Wednesday, the 17th. We've also got a wonderful climate cafe for all of you who are concerned about the environment and climate change. It'll be on El Nino and how it's affecting climate change and reshaping the weather. That is on June 24th. And one other event is with Ted Lieu about defending democracy in a challenging time, and that is Thursday, June 25th. All of these shows will be in the comments, all these events, and you can also go to our website at democratsabroad.org/events and check that out and much, much more. The other thing that's going on, and Judith, can we just show that the pride picture really quickly? That it's just so much fun to go to these pride events around the world. They're everywhere. In fact, we actually have a big one in the Netherlands coming up. That is also, I'll put that out in the comments also. Am I the only one here? All right, good. Well, so I'll just talk about the stuff that I want to talk about. How about that? I'm just kidding. Let's talk about quickly. We wanted to get in a little bit of information about the Iowa governor's race and the Iowa Senate race. Iowa is got some really great candidates this year. And just so everybody who's abroad knows, the pride picture. Look at these people and how great they are. They're in Spain. Obviously, the weather is super great there. And yeah, love does trump hate. Thanks, Judith. You can take that down. I really, people in Iowa, please go to votefromabroad.org and request your absentee ballot. And you are one of the few or the 32 states that can actually vote down ballot, no matter how long you've been abroad. So you can vote for the governor, you can vote for senator, you can vote for your mayor, you can vote for every position that comes up on your ballot. So please do so. And we want to highlight a couple of the great candidates that are in your area. Rob Sand is running as for the governor, and he is currently their state auditor, and he's been aggressively taking on anti-fraud in his state. He's built a career taking on corruption and protecting taxpayers, which is exactly why Republicans see him as a threat.
He's
Sand,
particularly well suited to this moment, let's say.
yeah, because there's a lot of fraud and going on in the Republican Party. Sand has proven that he can win statewide and earn the trust of voters across the political spectrum. His success shows how Democrats compete in tough states with authentic, battle-tested candidates focused on accountability and working families. Also, he's selected Crawford County Supervisor and fifth generation farmer Dave Mulheiser as his lieutenant governor candidate. Let's hear from Rob Sand himself. Judith?
Oh, sorry.
Well, while we're waiting for that, yeah, Rob Sand,
Okay.
I think he's going to win this election, honestly. I mean, when you see his message and you see how well he was received, and he's already been voted statewide. Thanks, Judith.
Yeah, just a second.
Other than Zach Lane, I agree with you. His lies about his past and the fact that he still more or less lives in Kansas means that he's not the best choice in this race. He claims to be an outsider, but he has spent his whole career working for politicians and dark money groups. He claims he's going to take on big polluters, but he did the political bidding of nitrate polluters who are squeezing every penny out of Iowa farmers for a decade. He says he's going to be Iowa first, but records show he spends more time in Kansas than he does here. And he admits he'd have to fully move here from Kansas if he gets elected. The phrase was, "If I get elected, I'll spend as much time as humanly possible in Iowa." Most of us just live here. He says he's focused on kids and culture, but he's invested in products that I wouldn't want to talk about in front of my kids. And then he lied about at what point he got uninvested too. If he's going to say all of those things, who knows what he's going to say or what you can believe when it comes to this campaign for the next 5 months. Traveling the state for the last year of this campaign, I've heard the same stuff everywhere I go. The political system is broken and it has left Iowa families behind. Well, all you would get with Zach Lane is more of the same. He's been on the inside breaking it this whole time. I'm going to tell you the truth about him. Just as I did with every corrupt public official that I prosecuted or audited. But I also want to talk about how I'll work with the Republican legislature in this state to get a new direction going and a focus on making Iowa not bluer or redder, but truer and better. I believe we should have a governor that actually puts Iowa first instead of just writing it under the wings of his plane when he flies over us to go back to Kansas. We already have more Iowa Republican donors than the Republican nominee for governor does. Join them. You are welcome in this campaign. If you're already one of the thousands of Iowans on the team, thousands of Republican donors, thousands of Republican volunteers, Democrats, independents too, thank you for your support and for the belief that we can do something together, that we can tell these two private clubs running our democracy, we've had enough, we would like to work together now, and we would like to have fun with our neighbors and our friends and our family that we disagree with about politics. Let's keep that going from now till November, and let's send a message to the establishment in both parties that have been failing us that their time is up. To the majority of
I think that's great. Let's have fun with our neighbors. That's maybe the best part. Look, Rob Sands is a super strong candidate. And so you're right, Angela. I think there's a really good chance that we pick up this seat. In fact, Cook Political Report has put this as a toss-up race, which has been, the Democrat has not won Iowa governor's race in quite a long time. But Rob Sands is already two-time elected statewide as state auditor. He has been leading the fight against corruption and fraud. And now you have the chance to, the Republican governor, Kim Reynolds, is not running for a third term. And so this will be a really serious pickup opportunity. And look, Iowans are being hit really, really hard. And so in addition to his bio, he's raised $8 million already for his campaign. And Iowans are being hit really, really hard by the tariffs. And so there is a lot of reason for them to be angry at everything going on in Washington and their politicians who are supporting the Trump agenda. And so really this is a great opportunity for them to voice their displeasure. And as you see, Iowans are in 2025, they elected 5 Democrats at the state legislature and broke the Republican supermajority there. So it's just a really good cycle. And Rob Sands is a really, really strong candidate. And the things he's running on and running for, affordability, health, actual health for people, universal pre-K, so young children in Iowa get the support they need early on to lead productive and successful lives. I mean, these are things that everyone can support. So I think he's a really strong candidate.
I think so too. And while you're voting for the governor, be sure to vote for the Senate candidate,
Josh
Turek. Yeah,
Yep.
that's right. And he is a two-time Paralympic gold medalist for the USA team and a state legislator who has represented the reddest seat by a Democrat in the state of Iowa. Let's see what he has to say.
Iowa sure does love an underdog, and we have done it tonight. After 10 months traveling this state in hundreds of events, meeting with Iowans in every corner of the state, I am proud to say that we have won this primary. My name is Josh Turek, and I am honored to be your nominee to be the next United States Senator from Iowa. This campaign has always been about having a senator from Iowa, fighting for the people of Iowa, not for the billionaires or the large corporations. This campaign has been about fighting for the middle class, working families, rural communities, small family farms, and working with anyone to address rising costs, stagnant incomes, and out-of-control corruption in D.C. Iowans all over this state have heard our message and felt hope that we can change this state and change this country. Tonight is proof of that. I first want to congratulate Zach Walz on running a strong campaign. Yes, absolutely. He and I just spoke on the phone. Zach has been an exceptional representative for his district and a true public servant for the people of Iowa. I am grateful for this primary. It has made me a stronger candidate. To Zach's supporters, I know I was not your first choice, but I ask each and every one of you to join our campaign to push for change. Together, we are going to build an Iowa that people move to, not away from. In my travels through the state, wherever I go, I hear the same things. Iowans are hurting. Families are struggling just to keep food on the table and a roof above their heads. Farmers are living in constant fear of foreclosure. We are in a senseless Middle East war that is driving up gas prices here at home. Our rural communities are disappearing. Hospitals and schools are closing here. Our public schools are falling behind. Iowa is now nearly dead last for economic growth, personal income growth, OBGYNs, mental health providers. We have closed 250 more healthcare clinics than we've opened in the last 15 years. We have a cancer crisis, a water quality crisis. This is not the Iowa that I grew up in. This is not the state that we all love. But I am feeling hope here in Iowa for the first time in a very long time.
That's great.
Wow. That's
And this is
amazing.
because Iowans.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's also a super strong candidate. And I mean, really like right for this moment too. First of all, he won his primary
Yes.
with 62%, statewide. So that's also a really strong sign. Well known across the state of Iowa, right, as a state legislator, as you said, Angela, and also as a Paralympic gold medalist. And I
Yes.
mean, if the Knicks, the Knicks Spurs energy flows to Iowa, then I think, he is the man for the moment. And also, look, I mean, in a moment where Trump's one big beautiful bill stripped healthcare away from millions of Americans, including over 100,000 Iowans who rely on either
Yes.
Medicaid or ACA subsidies. Here is a guy whose personal story of overcoming serious healthcare challenges to both succeed in the top tier of his, chosen sport, as well as personal experience in the healthcare system and making that healthcare reform and delivering healthcare for people one of the top priorities of his campaign. I think it speaks perfectly to the moment that we're in.
Yes, it does. I think that he has a very American story, and that the people of Iowa would probably, it would be one of their best decisions to choose him as their Senate candidate for sure.
So there's almost 4,000 Iowans who voted from abroad in 2024. And so all you Iowans abroad out there, make sure you register to vote at votefromabroad.org if you're not already, and then follow up to make sure that you get your ballots in. And again, the volunteers at votefromabroad.org can help you with any particular questions that you may have about your personal situation. So please go there and if you need to, contact with the trained voter expert supporter that we have, volunteers that are there to help you.
Yes. Awesome. Well, I think we're at the end of our time, Aaron. But before we go, did you want to mention something about the event happening at the White House?
Well, listen, there's a lot of things, so Rob Sands is running as the anti-corruption fighter candidate, and we have the volcanoes of corruption taking place on Trump's
Yes.
80th birthday party at the White House this week. You're probably familiar. The Ultimate Fighting Championship claw cage match, the Coliseum that's been erected on the White House to debase it is nonetheless being built. And Trump is proposing to host a UFC cage fight there. Now, it all sounds fine and dandy, except until you realize that it is being completely privately sponsored, that there is endorsement ads everywhere, and it is basically, and that, Trump family has invested in the parent company of UFC. So that's all bad. We need the corruption fighters in Congress to look into this and to stop these abuses from happening, to stop our national treasures and our national mall from being used for further profiteering. And separate from that, if you're 100 other things that you could do better with your time than watch this grotesqueness. And so we have a list of them that we made for you. Angela, you want to let the people know what else they can do with their time if they're so inclined?
Yeah, that's true. Well, the first thing that I'm going to say is come to our event on that day, the Faith and Freedom film screening. But there's a whole bunch of other things that you could definitely do. You could watch some highlights from Game 4 of the Knicks and Spurs. You could watch the World Cup. You could
Four World Cup games that day. I'm sure you can watch highlights too.
Definitely. I mean, go outside, look at a kids movie from Pixar. Enjoy the summertime, or almost summertime. It is almost actually summer. Enjoy the weather. Don't think about Donald Trump and his, I mean, if you've seen that picture, and we don't have a picture of what the White House looks like now, but it's a construction site, and it's shameful. Like, it's the most shameful thing. It's the most shameful thing I've ever seen. So don't think about Donald Trump. Go out and help people request their ballots. That's something that you could do.
He's not thinking about you, so definitely
No.
spend your time thinking about him. And with
No.
that, it's also Bonnaroo, by the way. On the last day of Bonnaroo, you can watch that too. That would maybe be a more relaxing way. Anyway, with that, excited about the Iowa candidates, and we'll look into the other exciting candidates to come in future. So, Angela, thanks. Was a pleasure as always.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Aaron. And thanks to our audience and all our viewers. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, all.